So over the last few weeks, rumors have been starting to heat up around the New York Giants and what they want to do in free agency, in the draft, and what trades they could make. And usually because it's the Giants, in the back of our minds, we know nothing is going to happen and they will screw things up, sort of like my Cleveland Browns. But this is the first offseason where things really seem to be lining up between getting the QB of their dreams in the draft, fixing the offensive line, and potentially adding a playmaker next to Nabers. Something has to give, something has to happen. The Giants have too much money to spend, they have a lot of young talent, but again, I know we are talking Giants, and until the pen hits the paper, everything at this point is just a rumor. And I'm sure you all are frustrated of just speculating about things that may not actually happen. But it's been a minute since I made my last Giants video, so let's talk about everything going on. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 50,000 subscribers, and with your support, I believe that we can get there super fast. Alright, so the biggest free agent that I've been talking about in regards to the Giants is Trey Smith. And recent news broke out from multiple sources that Trey Smith will be moving on from Kansas City, and he had a rough outing in Super Bowl 59. But his lowlight of the 2024 campaign doesn't at all erase a Pro Bowl year. During the regular season, Smith didn't allow a single sack while being on the field for 1,115 snaps. That is Joe Thomas level stuff. And per Pro Football Focus, he's one of the league's best pass blocking guards and should be atop the Kansas City Chiefs list of players to re-sign this offseason. However, the Chiefs will have to make key decisions on safety Justin Reed and linebacker Nick Bolton, along with several role players on both sides of the ball. Kansas City may add playmakers at the offensive skill positions as well. In the meantime, the Chiefs could use a franchise tag on Smith as a placeholder that precedes a new deal for the 25-year-old standout guard. Smith is predicted to earn somewhere around a 4-year, $78.9 million deal next year, which might be too rich for the Chiefs, who, like I said, could choose to rebuild the offensive line, at least in part through the draft. So what does that mean for the Giants? Well, it means that if Smith goes to free agency, it could be a bidding war between multiple teams. And if I was Joe Schoen, I'm building up the offensive line before I do anything else, especially if he plans on drafting a young QB. The interior offensive line in 2025 will return guard John Runyon Jr., who should be fully recovered from the dislocated shoulder he tried to gut out last year. Center John Michael Schmitz will be entering his 3rd season, a big year for him as the team is still waiting for him to take a quantum leap in his development. Beyond those two, there is an opening at guard, presumably on the right side unless the coaches shift Runyon to that side, which would then open up the left guard spot. If the Giants don't re-sign Greg Van Roten, the Giants have some depth to compete at guard. But how good is that depth, and do they really have enough there is the question. And like I said, I think getting Trey Smith would answer all those questions, and instead of worrying about transitioning somebody they already have to play guard, they can use that player to deepen the line, because we already know how football works. Injuries happen all the time, and you have to be ready, you have to be prepared for it. Right now, the New York Giants are in the top end of the middle of the pack in terms of how much cap space they have available. So right now, it's looking like they can make about 1 to 2 big moves and then a few smaller moves. Last week I talked about the potential for the Giants to sign Matthew Stafford, but that was definitely on the more you could dream about it side of things, of the possible scenarios for what could happen over the next month or so. But in the latest mock drafts I have been seeing over and over again, the top minds in football continue to predict that the Browns are going to take Abdul Carter and the Titans may even take Travis Hunter. And this could be both a good and a bad thing. It could mean that nobody thinks the QBs in this year's class are all that impressive, or it also could mean the Browns just don't feel comfortable with their track record already jumping the gun and taking a QB when they have much bigger issues to deal with for 2025. And as a Browns fan, I think that is the reason they won't take a QB if they don't. So for the Giants, if Cam Ward or Sanders are available at 3, I think you take either one. But you also have to bring in a vet and sit the guy for at least a few weeks to watch and learn. I don't care if it's Jameis Winston, I don't care if it's Stafford, I don't care if it's Russell Wilson, I don't care who it is at all. The Giants have to bring in 2 quarterbacks this offseason before the start of training camp. Another thing the Giants could do is they could trade back and take an offensive lineman around pick 6 or 7 and wait until next year to draft their franchise guy behind center and just go with a Wilson or a Winston for one more year. I know real life is not like Madden where you can just sim a season and forget about it because every year matters so much in the NFL, but just thinking if we did fast forward to next year and the Giants drafted an O-lineman now, they developed the young players for another season, they kept cap space available, and then they got 4 or 5 wins and had a top 5 to top 3 pick, that is when all of a sudden we could be looking at a team going from the bottom of the league to the top almost overnight like the Commanders did. But this scenario would require a lot of patience, and I think Giants fans are already fed up with what we have seen basically the last decade with this team. But even past the first round pick, the Giants have a ton of opportunities to get guys who could really help them both in 2025 and then of course down the road. Right now with the 34th selection, I've seen so many different projections, but I'm leaning toward defense, and I really like Siobhan Revel Jr., a corner out of East Carolina. We all know the Giants secondary really struggled last year, and Revel is 6'3", almost 200 pounds, and has great length with a filled out frame. He uses his length to his advantage in press and does a good job of getting his hands on and disrupting routes at the line of scrimmage. He has very good straight line speed, he gets to the top quickly, and easily carries receivers deep. He has shown in college the necessary recovery speed to catch up and close ground with the ball in the air. He's a good overall athlete with ball skills and body control. He can sink his hips well for his size and quickly transitions. Also, he showed the ability to push receivers off their line as he works downfield. So that's pretty much the write-up on him, and that is why I think the Giants should definitely consider taking him in the second round with that early pick they have. And then at pick 65, I already talked about this guy, but I like Alec Iomanner. He is a big-bodied receiver who thrives along the boundary with his physicality, body control, and breakaway speed after the catch. He's a bit raw as a route runner, but carries impressive physical potential at the next level. And then getting back to free agents, just to throw out more potential names, DJ Reed is among the more underrated cornerbacks in the NFL. He really blossomed during his 3 years with the Jets, cementing himself as a legitimate outside corner who flashed shutdown capabilities. More important though is Reed's leadership. He played a major role in acclimating all-pro corner Sauce Gardner to the league. Reed would really be valuable to the Giants as they try to salvage Deonte Banks' career. He also finished the last 3 seasons with Pro Football Focus grades of 72.5, 77.9, and 70.7. Also, going back to the O-line, I think another option that could be realistic is Will Fries. The Giants could once again dabble in the top end of the interior line market, and Fries won't cost much. He had an 86.8 Pro Football Focus grade last season with the Colts before fracturing his tibia in week 5. So yeah, there really are so many ways the Giants could go. I know right now, like I said in the beginning of this video, everything is just a rumor. Nothing is official until the pen actually hits the paper. So we can hope all we want, but should you actually trust the Giants front office and Joe Schoen? I don't know, probably not, but still I think they have a lot of momentum and there is a lot of realistic possibilities that could happen. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments below. Let me know who you would like to see the Giants sign, and also if you haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe because your support truly does mean the world, and let me know what you'd like to see next, and until then I will see you all later.